Now, I sure hope you guys didn't think I was going to skip out on Sidephone. Hello, my friends. My name is Jake. Welcome to Returning Retro, where we talk about tech that helps not to go back in time, but rather to get back on track. And today, I am delighted to talk to you about one of my favorite pieces of intentional technology, retro technology. It's kind of got everything in it all at once, and that is the Sidephone. So I've had the Sidephone now for a couple of weeks, and I apologize. It's taken me a while to get some video of it, some crazy changes in my life recently, but everything is great. And I've been using Sidephone as my side phone. It literally hasn't left my side for the last few weeks now, and I've got some thoughts on it. So let's get into Sidephone, why I think it's great, some pros, some cons. So without further delay, let's head over to the tabletop and get into it. Drum roll, please. I'm just messing with you. There it is, my friends, in all its glory, the Sidephone. It is here. I cannot tell you how anxiously I have been awaiting this thing's release. I love it so much. So I don't want to waste any time. We're just going to dive right in. So I thought we could start with maybe some side-by-side size comparisons. We'll go largest to smallest. So here I've got a side-by-side with one of my favorites, the minimal phone, MP01. Next up, the Zinwa Q25, which for those that don't know is a resto-modded BlackBerry Classic. I'm just noticing now for the first time, these are they might even be identical in height to each other. That is kind of cool. I had not noticed that before. Next, we've got a fun little EcoMind 1 Pro, which this little guy, sure, we'll throw the camera up there. I don't even know how to really show you guys that one. It's such a quirky little design there, but really what I think is a criminally underrated device, the i4 Blue Fox NX1 over here. It is actually only a little bit bigger than the screen on Sidephone. I would kick myself if I did not do a side-by-side with a BlackBerry Pearl. Obviously, the compact QWERTY tile seeing a ton of inspiration from the SureType keyboard on the old BlackBerry. Just seeing these next to each other in real life, guys, it is so cool. Doing a little bit of a hardware tour. Here we can go around the side. You've got power button and volume rocker across the top. Over on the other side, nothing except for the SIM tray, and there is no expandable storage on this, so there's no SD card ability. And then on the bottom here, another microphone, Type-C, and then around on the back side, you can see really sleek. You've got the logo there in the middle. You've got the camera bar up at the top here with the flash on the one side and the camera on the other, and not much else. You've got a plastic design here, but it feels nice. It is a bit slippery. I mean, I've got dry fingers, you guys can probably tell there. So I cannot use this without the case, which is actually a very nice little case. And then, of course, the star of the show is the modular tile design. You can see here just how easy it is connected with the pins in there. And it's kind of cool. It actually has both a kinetic and a magnetized system. I'm not sure if this right down here are the two magnets. We'll have to ask Chris and Sebastian about that. But you can see it just goes into the top there, and then the magnets pull them in, and there is a little mechanical clasp there as well. But it is really easy to swap out the tiles. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with the T9 or the Sundial just because I haven't spent a lot of time with them using them, because I'm a fan of the SureType, or I guess in this case Jake type as they're calling it. But both of these tiles worked fine. As you can see here, I put my little cheat sheet on this because I cannot remember where the different letters are, but maybe in a future video we can do a little bit more with those. But I did want to give you guys a little bit of a software tour here. This one is running what I believe is the latest operating system update, which starting from here, there's actually some stuff that people maybe don't know. If you press the home button with the latest software update, it will actually turn on the screen. From here, you could put in a pin if you want to. I don't currently have a pin set, so if I just press it again, it takes you to your home screen here. Now, a note on my usage of Sidephone. I have used it almost exclusively in what I call Jake mode, where typically I would have like my 4 most used apps and that's it. I've done a little bit of a modified Jake mode just for some testing purposes, so I would usually just have phone, texting, You can see there in the messages, Telegram, and then like Spotify or like an audiobook app. In this case, instead, I threw on WhatsApp, and I actually do have Beeper that I've been testing it with. And it's been a surprisingly good experience. Now, I will say with Telegram and WhatsApp, both of these are supported in the library, the app library. So I can show you what that looks like. Okay, guys, don't mind me going back in time a little bit, but I did go in and set it to be the default launcher here so you guys can get a better out-of-box experience with it. So this is the default launcher. Now, in order to get other apps, you need to jump into a web browser from some other device, whether it's a computer or a phone or whatnot. Go to sidephone.com, and then up here they've got this banner that says get started. Click here. If that ever goes away, you can find it really easily by clicking the menu up there and then go to the user guide. Click on that and then go down to officially supported applications. And this, if you scroll down a little bit, is going to be where you can get your app packs. Okay, so we'll just go right here to, say, for example, the input app pack. Leave that right there for a second. Go over to my Sidephone. Swipe up. Now, I didn't uninstall the app, so they're all here already, but just pretend that you don't see them. So if you go into library, I did reset the library. So this is what you will see when you first boot it up. Tap the QR code to scan and add your pack. So we'll tap the QR button, scan code. It's probably going to ask for camera permissions. It does. And then if we come over right over here, you can see it says, hey, you just scanned a QR code that leads to an app pack. Do you want to add that to your library? Heck yeah, we do. And then it'll take you here, and these are the available apps after you have enabled that repository on your device. You can download and install. Rinse and repeat for all of the different ones. So you can see here, this is the input app pack. It shows you the apps that are in there. Essentials Plus, it'll show you the apps that are in there. Messaging, it'll show you these officially supported apps, which includes WhatsApp, Signal, and Telegram. Browser, Proton, which I think this is so cool that they officially support Proton. This is the ecosystem that I use. So Mail, VPN, Calendar, Drive, Pass, and Notes. And then security, another good one. I will point out to you, you want the other app pack, and Obtainium is what I used to put the Aurora app store on my device, which for those of you that are not familiar, the Aurora app store is essentially, I think, a carbon copy of the Google Play Store. So you can get pretty much any app that's available in Google Play via the Aurora store here. So if you notice as I'm scrolling through here, that's where I was able to get Niagara. That's where I got Spotify, I believe, and so on and so forth. So just so you guys know, that's how I did that. Now, in terms of compatibility, Sidephone comes with what I believe they are calling Side OS out of the box, and it is basically a completely de-Googled Android open source project ROM. In other words, the software, the operating system that this is running is Android without any Google services whatsoever. So some things are going to work great. For example, Telegram, WhatsApp, I'm able to receive messages, push notifications work, same with texting, great. However, Beeper, because it does by default use some of the Google mobile services for push notifications and for message receiving updates, in order for that to work, I pretty much have to leave Beeper open, and then it will collect all my messages and then I can read them. So some people, that might drive them crazy. Other people, like myself, it doesn't really bother me because I have to be more deliberate. It adds a layer of friction. It gives me a little bit more of a need for being deliberate, and I really, really like that quite a bit. So a couple of other little fun things. The Sidephone does not have a front-facing camera, and it doesn't have a proximity sensor or an ambient light sensor. So you may notice, and this happened to me, I made a phone call once, and by the way, call quality, great. I haven't had any issues with that whatsoever, either hearing the other person or them hearing me. VoLTE is supported, so you've got great crystal clear call quality. However, since there's not a proximity sensor, the first couple of times before I learned that, I would be making a phone call and my cheek would be hitting different things on the phone, and I accidentally muted myself. And so what I've learned to do is when I'm making a call, I will just lock the screen momentarily, and then when the call is done, I'll turn it back on, end the call, do whatever I need to do. So a couple little tricks of the trade there for you. The speaker quality does have a single speaker. It's not amazing. It's not going to knock your socks off, but I find it to be perfectly adequate for a speaker call if you're not in a super noisy environment. as far as listening to music. Bluetooth headset works fine. I've used a USB-C headset, worked fine as well. No issues there whatsoever. Camera quality, let's get you guys some pictures here real quick. What should I take a picture of here? How about my lovely Logitech mouse? Why not? We'll get you a close-up there of that, and then maybe the retro wall. How's that sound? Is it a perfect experience? No. So a couple of things that you should be aware of. They don't really bother me per se, but some people, if they're expecting to switch from an iPhone or a flagship Android coming over, there are some things that you will have to adjust and reacquaint yourself with in terms of how to use this. So RCS, which has become normal and is a big part of North American texting, is not supported on Sidephone. You're just going to have your basic SMS and MMS. Also, because of that, you can have some weird things happening with group messages. If you have been texting with people that are part of a group message that have some combination of SMS, MMS, iMessage, and RCS all in there, you could find that you either aren't receiving messages or your messages aren't arriving. So your mileage may vary, but it is something that you should probably be aware of. Also, with Jake type, I have found, just because I had a BlackBerry Pearl for years and years growing up, it is possible to outpace the software keyboard. So there have been a couple of times when I would be using Jake type that I would actually type faster than it could keep up. So again, not necessarily a bad thing in that I have to be a little bit more deliberate on how I type things out. You do also, with this recent software update, need to go into the app packs and grab Key Mapper, which used to be part of the settings app itself. It was causing some issues and some bugginess, and so they decided to pull it out of the settings and at the OS level and just make it a regular app that you can install. So by doing that, it really actually, I have found, improved the performance quite a bit. So I can show you how I've mapped things here. So home button, I think I pretty much left by itself. The recent apps and the back button I swapped, and so for me, the recent apps is over here, and then the back button is right here. Phone button, I've left that to be what it is meant to be there. One thing that I did change, however, is the end call button. I have it mapped to where if it's in a call, it will end the call. If an incoming call is coming and I press it, it will reject the call. But I find it really handy to, just from a screen like this, tap it and get my notification shade. So fun little thing you can do there. But Key Mapper is a really great app. I've used it on a number of different keyboard devices that I've used here, and you can see all of my mappings are right there. A couple other little tricks. If you do want to be able to see a little bit more on your screen, I have found that if you go to display and then scroll down to the bottom, you can actually make the font size smaller. I have it there second to lowest. And then if you go to advanced, the display size, I have made that on mine as small as it will go, just so that you can get a little bit more screen real estate in terms of the viewable content on the screen. You can, in fact, also go to developer options and make it even smaller, but I found that that can get a little bit buggy at times, so I've just left it here with the default settings that are available there. Another thing that is probably worth mentioning is the keypad buttons are quite clicky in both feel and sound. So if I do a little bit of a typing test here, the mic isn't right in front of it, but it is very noticeably clicky. So if you are in a quiet place or, you know, in bed at night with your significant other, they're not going to be able to sleep while you're typing on this. But yeah, you could see there with Jake type, I mean, I didn't have any misses there. I have really loved getting reacquainted with this BlackBerry Pearl Shure type, or as they're calling Jake type on the compact QWERTY tile. Of course, we got to talk about battery life. So as I mentioned, I'm using it in kind of a modified Jake mode, which normally I would only allow myself 4 apps, but I did include 2 additional messenger apps just for the sake of testing, namely WhatsApp and Beeper. And I am finding myself to be consistently getting 2.5 to 3 days of battery life between charges. What does that mean in real world use? Occasional messages, no browsing, no Google Maps, very little audio. I would listen to a podcast here and there, primarily just texting and telegramming with the occasional phone call with my family and close friends. And that has been a delight in that Sidephone has done it very, very well with a form factor that I love and still being able to get 2.5-3 days of battery life. Now, I don't recommend trying to use Sidephone as a smartphone. You're probably going to have a bad experience. It doesn't have the strongest processor. It doesn't have a huge battery. App compatibility, when you've got a lot of stuff running in the background, can be a little bit iffy. But if you're going to be running just a handful of apps that with any frequency running in the background, I think you're going to have a great experience with Sidephone. Don't try and use it as a smartphone, and I think you'll really enjoy it. That has certainly been the case with me. So there you have it, my friends. Sidephone in a nutshell. I love this device. I think it is such a great first entry into the saga that undoubtedly will become Sidephone, Side Technologies. A great, and again, congrats and thank you to Chris and Sebastian and their entire team for bringing to market such a cool and handy little device. I will be watching it with great interest as it progresses, as we see more updates come out, more tile options, as we have seen sort of teased on their subreddit. And thank you to you guys. Thanks for your patience with me. Thank you for all the support. Do you have questions about Sidephone? Anything I didn't get to? Anything you'd like to know more about it? Or any upcoming devices you'd like me to talk about? Do go and leave them in the comments. I'd love to chat with you and hear your questions, your input. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Go check the different social outlets that I have. Best way to get in touch with me are going to be there in those links. Thanks for being here with me, guys. We'll see you in the next one.